Good morning. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. If you set out to come here today, you made it. And we're so grateful that you're here, whether you're here in person or online. Our weekly worship is where we gather, connect, share information, and inspiration. I'm Reverend Mark Skrabacz. I serve as your senior minister. Let's begin by recognizing the name of this place, the earliest name that we know of, Yanajuana. How many of you know Yanajuana? There's all kinds of references to water in San Antonio, which of course would be a place that indigenous people and the earliest settlers would gravitate to. This was the traditional land of the Coahuiltecan people. They and all of the plants and animals were the original stewards of this land, and let us remember their care and live with the understanding that we actually belong to this place. At our church, we strive to enact a universal love that binds us in mutual care and affection, especially in our work for justice and for our planet. Our faith is all-inclusive, and all means all, y'all. If you're visiting for the first time, we invite you to fill out a visitor's card. We'd like to get to know you and follow up with you. Wherever you are on your life's journey, we welcome you here, and we're glad you're here. This morning, an auspicious team of people will present us with reflections of their experiences of our annual General Assembly, which happened in Pittsburgh and online during the third week of June. But first of all, let's reach out to a neighbor and say hello, introduce yourselves, greet one another. Goodness gracious, what a robust hello. Good job, everyone. Our opening hymn will be found in the Teal book, situated somewhere around you. I invite you to turn to number 1008, and we'll rise in body or spirit, and we'll sing When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. I want to thank Susan for leading us and for Dana Clark for bringing her djembe today. Things go better with a drum. It's time for our chalice lighting. Good things happen when we light a chalice. Reverend Nell is going to do that while I say some words about how the flaming chalice unites our members in worship and symbolizes the spirit of our faith. Lighting this chalice, we are journeying into the unknown. We are atoms joined by accident or miracle, the same yet different. We can marvel at the ancient universe or tremble at our fleeting world, and sometimes we can do both at the same time. Not alone on this journey, we travel with one another from where we are and what we are to where and what we are becoming. In this flame, ignited is our curiosity, our wonder, and our solidarity as we journey together. Is that true for you? If so, say amen. 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 Thank you, Nell. Esperanza Flores Garza has arranged and will perform this beautiful song. Thank you for doing this.
So I'm going to play a couple songs for you today that I played at GA. For those of you, my experience at GA is a little bit different than other people's because I'm very active in DRUM, which is Diverse, Revolutionary, Unitarian, Universalist, Multicultural Ministries. It's one of the oldest and most established BIPOC group within the UUA world. We are not funded completely by the UUA. We're kind of a sister organization. And I am currently acting as the president nationally of the organization. So at GA, Drum spends a lot of time gathering in, together and supporting the faith development of BIPOC UUs, and we do some of our own worships, culminating in a open worship for anybody who's interested, which I think this year we had about 100 and a little over 100 people attend, so maybe like 110. So it was a pretty nice event for a small thing on Sunday, or I guess it was very busy that day, so we were glad to get the attendees we did. And I was able to play this song at one of the services, and I hope you like it. I hope you like it. True love will find you in the end. You'll find out just who is your friend. Don't be sad, I know you will. But don't give up until true love will find you in the end. El amor va a llegar con los amigos de verdad. No estés triste, por favor. No, no, no. No te rindas, porque true love will find you in the end. This is a promise with a catch, yo te lo prometo. Si lo buscas, te va a encontrar. 'Cause true love is searching too. But how can it recognize you unless you step out into the light, the luz? No estés triste, por favor. No, 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 no te rindas, porque true love will find you in the end. True love will find you. True love will find you in the end. El amor lleva a llegar.
Thank you so much, Esperanza and Dana. It's time for our candles of joy and sorrow. This week, each of us has had many experiences with feelings of joy and sorrow, and these are part of our life, part of life that matters. And they can contain way too much to hold in the privacy of our hearts. So at this time, I invite you to come forward to light a candle of joy or sorrow, and in the hope that these lighted candles will shine in our hearts and minds, that we may move forward in life to love. Please come down the side aisles and find your way back to your seat up the center aisle. Stephen's going to play some very meditative music for us. Thank you. when our hearts are in a holy place. I'm going to read to you from our book of joys and sorrows that is always out in the foyer for your entry. Joys, sorrows, and concerns populate our lives. May we feel into them and learn from them. Carolyn and I are joyful and grateful, especially today on her final day of chemotherapy. It's been almost a year since cancer was surprisingly discovered, and you all have been with us every step of the way. There's so much hope and love and nurturing faith in this community. May we grow together through these challenges and these blessings. Maggie Joseph writes that she attended a wonderful premiere of a piano quintet by Black composer John Weinglass, based on the Alice Walker story. Wonderful music, part of the Cactus Pear Festival. For all our joys and sorrows and concerns, may we feel empathy and compassion. May the caring of our community offer a space of deep kindness, loving, and just action. I invite us all to breathe in, breathe out. Continue to do so. Feel your breath fill the spaces around your heart. Continue to attend to your breath as it flows in and out of all your memories and feelings. Recall joys and sorrows in order to continue to offer them over and over for our collective processing as we again inhale and exhale. May we know in our every cell that we belong, that we are loved and loving, and that all will be well. Breathing in and breathing out. Don't stop. And now it's time for our story wisdom. Reverend Nell.
Okay. All right. I have some ideas, and I would love for people to come help me, because I'm going to need your input. All right. You can stay where you are, but at some point we're going to get the board up, and we're going to write some things on the board. Yeah. Thank you. In fact, is your handwriting good?
It's okay.
Okay, then you'll be our scribe if you don't mind. Oh, right there is good. Okay. Thank you. All right, here, have a seat. I like your decorations. Are you a robot now? I love it. Okay, when my grandmother was a little girl, over 100 years ago, her family lived on a farm. And if they wanted to go into town to go to the library or go to the store, they didn't have a car. They had 2 horses, and they'd hitch the horses to the wagon, and then the family would get in the wagon, and the parents would drive the wagon, instruct the horses, and they'd ride into town. You remember last week. Now, have you ever been in the back seat of the car when people start kind of cutting up and roiling around? Well, that would happen in the farm wagon, because my grandmother had 3 brothers and a sister. There were 5 of them in the back of the wagon rolling around. You're 5? Well, so on the way into town, they'd start snarling and snarking, and my great-grandmother would say, "You kids better knock it off back there, I'm pulling this wagon over." And she would do it. She'd just tell the horses to stop and get out, get out of that wagon. If you're gonna fight in the ditch. And so, the kids would all go roiling out into the ditch, and they'd fight it until everybody got tired, and then she'd say, okay, you done? Okay, now you can get back in the wagon. And they'd all get back in the wagon, and they'd go on into town. And I thought, that was an interesting story, but I didn't think much of it. Until I was a mom, and I'm driving a wagon. It's a station wagon. And I got kids in the back, and they're starting to turn into little raccoons. She's touching me. He's breathing on me. Has that ever happened in your car? Has that ever happened in your car? Yeah, okay, you got a back seat full of raccoons. And I finally realized the wisdom of my great-grandmother Nellie, and I'd say, you kids better knock it off back there, I'm pulling this wagon over. And I'd do it. I would just do it, I'd pull it over. But instead of a nice country ditch, I'd just pull over on the side of Burnett Road, and there'd be cars and trucks and broken glass and fire ants, just get. And we'd all have to sit until we were gonna behave better. And when we were behaving better, then we could get back in the wagon, and we could go to the store, we can go where we're going. All right? So that's the tradition in our family. All right? If you're cutting up in the back of the wagon, we're just going to stop. But what would happen if we're in a boat? Have you ever been in a boat? Okay, so you get in the boat, and you go away from the shore, and there you are out in the middle of the lake or the ocean. So there you are, but you can't just pull over. You can't tell everybody, get out of the boat. Get, right? Because they can't just sit in the water. Well, because the water, you have to swim, but the boat would be leaving you behind. So we all have to stay in the boat. But, yeah, you have to stay in the boat. So the problem is if people are going to all be in the boat together and they start to turn into little raccoons, it's not going to be fun. So usually we have to have some agreements of how we're going to behave in the boat. All right? So if you're in a boat, what kind of behaviors do you think is going to make it easier for everybody to stay in the boat safely? What? Do what? Do nothing? Be kind. Okay, could we write that down? This is a good rule for when we're in the boat together. Be kind. Be happy. Okay, because we're in a boat. Be nice. We're getting there. We're getting there. What are other ways that people should behave when they're all like in a boat together? Do manners. Do manners, y'all. Any other ways, like, okay, should we keep our hands to ourselves or not bite each other? What are other good things? No biting. Okay. Refrain from biting, please. Thank you. What? Read a book. Yes, I think the librarians would agree we should read a book. Refrain from biting and read a book. Why? There's cool stuff in books. Okay. Now, we're just thinking about an actual boat, but I know, she's a librarian. She loves smiley books. So that's about if we're actually in a real boat, but I'm telling you this story because there are also things that act like boats that hold us together, where we have to all go together, and families are kind of like boats. Do you have rules in some of your families? Yeah? Oh, I take it off as soon as I'm done. It's okay. There's a piece of tape. I take it off. And no, it doesn't hurt. We use a special kind of tape. It doesn't hurt. So our families are kind of like boats. Our church is kind of like a boat because we're all here in this interesting place traveling together. Do you think these rules are these ways of being together are going to help us when we're at church together? Yeah? Do manners, refrain from biting? Okay. I'm telling you this because our planet is kind of a boat too. We can't throw each other overboard, right? Because we're all here together. All right. So you guys have had some time on the playground. You've had some time in the pews. Are you ready for some religious education class? Yeah! Okay, cool. I think you are all amazing, beautiful, interesting people, and I thank you for spending time with me and coming up with some wonderful ways that we can be together. Let's sing our children to their classes.
Seguro tu camino, que un amigo esté siempre a tu lado, que el amor que sientes estamento te guíe, te llena de placer. It's time for our invitation to generosity. Today we're sharing the plate, and we're dedicating it to our first UU grounds and facilities. Each year we budget to repair, maintain, and improve our campus, but the amount can be quickly depleted. And although we are finalizing plans to initiate several capital improvements later this year, already in June, the first month of our fiscal year, we had an unexpected repair bill for the air conditioning system in this beautiful space. It couldn't wait. So all the contributions made today for our share of the plate will go to help ensure that we have sufficient funds for unforeseen repairs and non-critical projects that enhance our buildings and grounds. Please be a good steward of First UU by contributing generously to this month's Share the Plate. Those of us online may make a contribution in the link on the chat stream. In the sanctuary, you may put something in the baskets. Would our ushers please come forward? And thank you. Esperanza.
I just wanted to tell you one more thing about GA, and I know we're going to hear more about this, but one of the things that happened that was so monumentous for many of us was getting a new president for the UUA. And so if you notice, I have a purple bandana and a little Sophia button. Sophia Betancourt is the new president of the UUA, and she is the first Black multiracial woman of color president of the UUA. And I think she brings a very prophetic message. I'm sure you'll be enjoying her for the next 6 years. Me va a tomar algunos días recuperarme de ti. Me va a tomar versos, melodías, poder repetirte que sí, que por ti me voy al norte, que por ti me voy al sur, que no importa si hay destino, siempre y cuando en el camino, que por ti me voy al norte, que por ti me voy al sur, que no importa si hay destino, siempre y cuando en el camino vayas tú, vayas tú. Me va a desechar el sabor del aquel beso que nos faltó. Me va a invadir el recuerdo de tus manos tan lejano que por ti me voy al sur, que no importa si hay destino, siempre y cuando en el camino, que por ti me voy al norte, que por ti me voy al sur, que no importa si hay destino, siempre y cuando en el camino vayas tú, vayas tú, vayas tú, vayas tú.
We bless these gifts, and we bless the givers. May it be so. Thank you, ushers. Thank you, Esperanza. Thank you, Dana, for such beautiful strains of music. And while we're making space for thankfulness and for prayer, I'd like to shout out all of the wonderful members who are mentioned in our order of services as having birthdays this week. That's Stana Welch, for whom these flowers are dedicated. Christine Chestnut. Akos Zabo. Rue Wood, who is with us today, Debbie Vasut, Tina Solis, and Austin Sobchak, wherever you are in Boulder, Colorado. Yeah. It's good to celebrate and to celebrate birthdays. It's time for reflections on the General Assembly. And we've assembled an auspicious group of people up here who will begin with Donna Pereira. Each will come up and introduce themselves and share a couple of minutes of their reflections. Thank you, Donna. Thank you all.
I'm Donna Pereira, and I'm currently serving as membership chair. This was the first time I had attended GA as membership chair, and although I enjoyed the worship, the workshops, and the lectures, I was most gratified by what I learned from meetings with membership professionals and chairs of congregations, both large and small. We talked about attracting new members and keeping current members engaged. We discussed the demographic makeup of our congregations and how it was changing. We talked about how COVID had challenged us to find new ways of engaging with each other. Many of the membership chairs I spoke with noted the influx of 20 to 40-year-olds who were previously unchurched. We posited that this was partially the result of the isolation many experienced during the pandemic, but also because of our uncertain political and social culture. Most, if not all, of our visitors express a need for community as a reason for checking us out. In the coming months, I hope to put into practice some of the tools I learned from others. I plan to spend some time speaking informally, possibly in small groups, to our members, new and old, to find out how to better serve this congregation. Thank you.
I lost my mask. Oh dear. This is one of the worst things you can do at GA is lose your mask. What am I going to do? Oh well. Move forward. Physical General Assembly has been all about energy for me. And by physical, I mean actually being in one space with hundreds of thousands of Unitarian Universalists at one time. For me, there is very little other energy like it. At this GA in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I became fascinated with the discussions on the 8th principle for Unitarian Universalists and about Article 2 of the UUA bylaws. I noted that these discussions fell into two camps. Those who were all for the changes, and those who felt like we were forgetting our roots. These discussions were vigorous and used up all the time allotted for them. Those who did not get to speak during this time were encouraged to go onto the virtual site and post their comments there. Because of the nature of Article 2 and its prominence in the bylaws, it will come up again at next year's GA, and we will do this all over again. But it will be totally different then, as GA will be completely virtual. Stay tuned.
I'm Maggie Joseph, and I have lost count of how many GAs I've attended, but a lot. I've missed very few since 1987. The service of the living tradition is always a high point of General Assembly. It is a ceremony that links our UU ancestors, past and present teachers and mentors, our current ministers, and aspiring ministers. The theme this year was Change is Coming. Reverend Chris Buse's sermon was titled Toward Our Metamorphosis into Who Knows What. The opening hymn was Wo-Ya-Ya, the words of which began, "We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within. And we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will." We all felt the change in the air throughout GA, which is transforming into alternating virtual and in-person. Our movement is redefining our vision for the coming decades. Reverend Buse said, "UUs have long been champions of evolution. Well, now we are having to do it." He told of a church board meeting that was going on at length and didn't seem like it was even within sight of a decision. The president of the board finally said, "Leading UUs is like leading turtles." Another added, "Yes, and sometimes they're snapping turtles." The president added, "I see you all working hard, but your progress seems minimal. I guess all I can say is, go turtles, go." Most of us recognize that our own church's progress towards racial justice and the multicultural beloved community that we want seems to move along slowly, along a bumpy road. With love, I say to you, go turtles, go.
Go, turtles, go. Go, turtles, go.
I'm Carol Collins, manager of our church bookshop, Plus. This year, I was so glad to conveniently attend GA virtually by my schedule. That saved travel and hotel expenses, and I still have access to all the recorded events, including those I missed. Featured speaker Brian Broom spoke about growing up poor, Black, and queer. His memoir, Punch Me Up to the Gods, has won multiple awards. Mr. Broom encourages everyone to tell their story as a way to fight fascism. In the Ware lecture, Imani Perry talked about growing up in Concord, Massachusetts, down the road from Thoreau and Emerson's Walden Pond. People have attacked CRT, then DEI, then LGBTQ. Dr. Perry asked, what history would be left if we discarded all the troubling business? She talked about Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, who was one of the first African American women to be published in the United States. Dr. Perry was riveting. The UU Church of the Larger Fellowship is a congregation without walls, connecting people all over the world to UU values. I learned it serves thousands of incarcerated people. I'm always interested in how we could become a more welcoming, class-inclusive community, and that was one of the more than 70 GA workshops. These are just a few of the valuable events that helped me grow.
I'm Terry Chadwick, and I've been a UU for over 50 years. You can go, oh, my God. And that's because it's been such a good religion for me. And I'm going to tell you some more about Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt that Esperanza talked about. She is our new president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, our national, but it includes Canada and Mexico and the Philippines. Those people were there at GA. I attended virtually. I think Reverend Betancourt is amazing, and I think she will be a good president for us. She is the first elected woman of color and openly queer UUA president. She is a womanist theologian, environmental ethicist, author, and ordained UU minister. She earned her doctorate in religious ethics and African American studies at Yale University. She has served Unitarian Universalism for more than 20 years as a religious educator, minister, divinity professor, and UUA leader. She was minister of UU congregations in California and Connecticut. In 2017, and after President Peter Morales resigned, she was appointed one of the 3 interim UUA co-presidents. Last year, she was resident scholar and special advisor on justice and equity at the UU Service Committee, which I call our UUA missionary group. But read up on that service committee because it does some amazing things. Reverend Betancourt was raised in New York City as a child of immigrants from Panama and Chile. She is the grandchild of a 7th-generation Unitarian and is an unabashed Universalist. This year at GA, she reminded us of the many stressors we've been talking about that we've been going through recently. And I thought she was right on when she encouraged us, please lower your expectations for yourselves. Instead of aiming for 70%, do 40%. And tell your leaders, thank you.
Are you all getting some new information? I'd like to describe what I heard about our Unitarian Universalist future in the opening ceremony of the General Assembly. And I'd like to describe why it gave me hope. Unitarian Universalism has evolved beyond the practice of individual personal beliefs and expressions, and is now embracing a collective process. This shift signifies a broader understanding that our beliefs and commitments are shaped and refined through active engagement with others, rather than being primarily developed in isolation. I feel we have a strong rationale for coming together from out of isolation, that isolation of our individualism, which was exacerbated by the pandemic, and move into an ever-renewing, process-centered journey as community. This will emphasize our dialogue and our interaction as a means of questioning and reevaluating our individual beliefs, which we surely have, and I'm not saying is not the way to go. We start with individual beliefs, but with a more open receptivity to new ideas and perspectives, and in the embrace of the diversity within our community. We understand that our collective values and commitments can be enriched and strengthened through the contributions and insights of all individuals involved. So my new hopeful understanding of our collective process is one of conversational, relational, and communal clarification, signifying a departure from individualism toward a more collaborative and inclusive approach. It acknowledges the importance of community in shaping our beliefs and values, and highlights the transformative power of dialogue and to relationship building in pursuit of a shared understanding.
Oh, when you get that many UUs together, it's all going to be sweetness and light all the time, right? No, this is how we do it. Some of our young adult Unitarian Universalists had been physically attacked, injured during a peaceful protest over pipeline constructions on sacred land. They then later discovered that our Unitarian Universalist Association's endowment fund holds stock in the very fossil fuel companies that were responsible for their injuries. Feeling betrayed, they proposed a business resolution that the UUA endowment fund should completely divest of its fossil fuel companies and any financial institutions that hold fossil fuel assets, and then use the divested money to make reparations to Indigenous, Black, and Brown communities. In essence, our young adults are saying, put your money where your mouth is. The UUA board could not support the proposal. Such a divestiture would render us unable to work with any financial institution because they all have fossil fuel holdings. Where would we put any money? And divestiture would end the slower justice work that the endowment has been doing over the years, and it would gut the UUA budget. There'd be no money to do anything for anyone. The whole thing felt like a lose-lose situation. Youthful idealism versus hypocritical elders. At our General Assembly, the resolution was discussed, and pro and con voices were respectfully heard. And when the discussion period ended, the young adults held a protest in front of the stage, chanting and waving signs. Everyone watched. The protest ended peacefully, continued with our work. No one was thrown out of the boat. Proposal was defeated by a majority of votes. The young people were invited to participate in future discussions about our investment strategies and how we will go forward. And the elders were invited to consider how they will work for a cooler, more just planet. No one was dismissed or discarded because we're all in the same blue boat home. And this is how we do it.
Hello, friends. My name is Bridget Laughlin. I am the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at First UU San Antonio. I use she, her pronouns. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in person today, but I did want to share one of my favorite parts of General Assembly with you. We elected our new UUA president, the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt. I'm going to play for you a clip of Reverend Betancourt so you get a chance to know her slightly. And after the service, you'll have the opportunity to sign a card wishing her well, sending her congratulations, and sending our gratitude from First UU. Enjoy.
But really for all of you. I have heard from so many of you in so many ways that what you most want from me is an invitation into the Unitarian Universalism you're dreaming of, into building that world and that work together. And I'm going to hold you to that. Those of you who said, call me, I'm going to. I'm going to. The work of faith is communal. The work of faith is care. When I say that love is the center of our faith, that means I am committing to loving each one of you every day, even when I'm cranky, for the next 6 years and beyond. I've been here for 25 years. As my beloveds tell me, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And I hope that we can risk this messy, loving, world-changing, saving faith together. Thank you for your faith in me.
This is how we roll. And when you roll out today, I want you to stop by the table that's set up just outside of the foyer and sign a card to the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt. Let's let her know how much we appreciate her right here in the Lone Star State. So please turn in your gray hymnals to number 131. How are we going to do all this? Love will guide us, and rise in body or spirit, and let's sing together. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sleep like angels, if you cannot sleep before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Please be seated. Just a couple of more words here as we extinguish our chalice and have some good words to take us on. As we take from us, from here, the reflections from General Assembly, may we continue to ask, how does love show up for us in the midst of life's experiences? What do we encounter that makes us hopeful? And how are we being changed by our life's experiences? May we observe these in the context of relationships and community, which shapes our hearts and minds. Amen.